Hello, my name is Jim Mullaney from Sitek Process Solutions. Today is Monday, May 11th, 2020. Here at Sitek, we're doing all the safety precautions for COVID-19 with masks and gloves. However, in final test, for me to do this video, I have to take my mask off because otherwise you really won't be able to hear very well my video acceptance. What we have here is a video source inspection of a refurbished customer's semi-tool 270S spin rinse dryer. This video is uploaded to our YouTube channel, so for the privacy of our customer, we do not give their name out. However, we do give the PO number so you know it's them. The PO number is 45000-99189. So this system was actually sent to us by the customer, which is quite a common occurrence here at Sitek, where customers will have tools that have been operating for years and they need a major refurbishment, or they need repairs or upgrades, whatever they may be. This was a refurbishment. I'll talk about our refurbishment process after I start the video, because when we get into the dry cycle, it's kind of boring just watching for 5 minutes the rotor just spinning. So what I'll do is I have a typical process on here, which is a quick rinse, 30 seconds. And that is at 500 RPM. I then have a purge. What that does is it blows the air out of the DI manifold before the dry cycle, so no water drips back in while it's drying. Then I have a dry one, which is a traditional high RPM, shorter duration, 90 seconds, 1800 RPM process. Then dry 2, which is a lower process in RPM. It runs back at 500 RPM, and it runs for 210 seconds. That's kind of a typical SRD process you see around the world. Every customer modifies it depending on how much rinse they want to do and size of their wafers and so forth, but this is pretty typical. We do this video to ensure the quality of the tool prior to being created. So I'm going to go ahead and start it, so, because again, then it gets boring and I'll talk about a remanufacturing process. So with the customer, they simply come up and load the cassette. We can go 0 to 25 with this rotor, so it turns out there's 0. I'm going to go ahead and add a couple wafers in here for reference. Okay, I've just put 3 traditional silicon wafers in. Again, this rotor was the customer's rotor and it's bound 0 to 25, so they can run a full load, empty load, and so forth. So then you simply hit start. Again, we have our first step, which is the rinse process. You don't have to see it, but down below is the controller. It's the traditional semi-tool PSC 102 controller. So we're just going through our normal nice rinse at 500 RPM. Okay, here we go. Now we're going to go into the high RPM purge. That's blowing the water out of the N2 nozzles here. Okay, now we're going into dry 1, which again is high RPM. We have this set at 1800. So, what's going to happen is we're going to run this for another 80 seconds, and we'll go into the dry 1. So while we're doing that, I'll talk about our remanufacturing process. If a customer sends us their head assembly, like this, for a refurbishment, it goes through the same refurbishment process as a Sitek sold SRD. So the system comes in, if it's a customer's tool. We have a very specific refurbishment process that I will not review on the video because it's very lengthy, but it's given to all customers in their proposal. It talks about what parts we change out, what we check, what we upgrade, and so forth. So a customer's head comes in. We call this a SRD head. It goes through an evaluation. The reason is we have to see if there's any defective parts that are not included in our normal refurbishment that need to be brought back to the customer's attention. Once that's done, if the PO needs to be modified, it is. Then the system is broken down to the base metal plate. The bowl gets taken out. It goes through a special Sitek internal reprocessing of the bowl, then re-electropolished. We go through and we electropolish some of the key features, the N2 manifold, some other parts, again, that are part of our refurb specification. We go through and we rebuild the valves. We check all the valves. We check all the heater blankets. We change out the windows, the door seals, all the key components. This customer has the traditional Humphrey valves still. They're working fine, so there was no reason to upgrade them, but we do offer an SMC upgrade. We're now dropping down into dry 2, but you saw the RPM drop down. Now we're using slow RPM. We're using the heater blankets, centrifugal force, and hot N2 to dry the wafers. So what happens is when a head is gone through, all the subcomponents are built up. It's built up in our dry test, which we call a dry manufacturing area. It's QC'd by another technician at the end of the dry build. Assume it passes. If it doesn't pass, we make any corrections, and then it's rechecked out. It then comes into the system like this, just the head assembly. In this case, the customer did not send their poly, any of their skins, so that's why the head assembly just looks like it's kind of a barren head assembly. But it's brought in like this. It's hooked up to our DI system, and then we go ahead and make sure we do all the debugging for any drips, leaks, and so forth, tightening any valves, any fittings. After it's gone through complete wet testing, there's a second QC and final test. Once it passes that, it goes for 50 more runs. If it passes 50 runs with no faults, then sales is called to come do the video source inspection. The reason we do this video source inspection is we can rebuild a high quality system. We can do everything we can. We professionally pack it, but then it goes through different common carriers. I hate to say it bounces across the United States, and we like to make sure the customer knows before it leaves our site, it's 100%. 99.9% of the times there's no issues, but we found that this documentation makes customers feel more at ease that their tool has left in excellent condition. We have about another 110 seconds. What I'll also talk about now, besides our remanufacturing process, is our support. If you go to sitekprocess.com, on the left-hand side, you'll see the first 7 buttons. They're all semi-tool related. The first 3 are the tools. The S, the F as in Frank, and the ST, the traditional rinser dryer. We remanufacture all versions, all sizes, all the way to 16-inch substrates down to parts. We build custom motors, custom cassettes. Then the next 3 buttons are all the spare parts. We offer 100% spare parts on this tool. Every single part. The valves we upgrade. The HDR valves brand new. The motor brand new. The servo amp redesigned by Sitek, brand new. A controller, if you want to upgrade it to a Sitek controller, brand new. Heater blankets new, and so forth. We can sell every single part. We are the #1 non-OEM seller of spare parts in the United States, and we are now becoming the #1 non-OEM spare parts company around the world. So that talks about our semi-tool quality and our semi-tool spares. We also do other wet processing tools. We do the HTC box washers. We actually have 2 here right now being worked on. We have customers that they sent to us to do a complete remanufacturing on them, and we also sell them. That's for cleaning your Integris and Flower cassettes and boxes and parts. Okay, we're down to 30 seconds. What I'll do is I'll let you know how this process ends, and I'll finish talking about our company. At the end of 30 seconds, it's called the rotor stop positioner, known as an RSP. It has a cam that fires out and rolls against the cam. It'll upright to home position we call 12 o'clock. Once that happens, I'll hear the door release, and I can open up and check for hot N2 and then dry wafers. Excuse me. About 6 seconds left. Okay, so as it uprights, there we go, I heard the door release. Okay, first thing I always like to do is feel for hot N2. Just for reference, a semi-tool door normally does not open this far. When there's a poly shroud on it, it only opens about that far. So if customers are wondering why it opens so far, it's because there's no skins on it. And I feel nice and warm, nice and hot. Feel the cassette, nice and warm. Wafers are good, nice and dry. Bowl looks good. Looks great. Okay, so the system ran great. It's been fully refurbished. Everything worked perfectly as expected, as every tool ships there. Now I'll finish up on our support. We also do quite a lot of the high pressure wafer and mask cleaners, the K&S, Ultra T, Ultratech, and so forth. We do high and low power microscopes, Nikon, Olympus, lights, etc. We also do different metrology tools from KLA/10 We do particle counters, we do thin film measurement systems, we do nanometrics tools, we do lipsometry equipment, Rudolph and Gertner and so forth. We also do quite a lot of customers' photoresist pump repairs, and we supply photoresist pumps. We do Cybor, IDI, Millipore. We do complete controllers for all those systems. We do repairs on the systems. So we're quite versed on our front-end wafer processing tools. We also do different etch and ash equipment, Branson etchers, matrix etchers, and so forth. At our website, again, sitekprocess.com, you'll be able to see a complete list of what we have available. So that will conclude this very short video source inspection of a fully refurbished customer's Semi-Tool 270S spin rinse dryer. My name is Jim Mullaney from Sitek Process Solutions. If you have any questions, feel free to call our main number at 916-797-9000 and ask for anyone in our sales organization. Thank you and have a great day.